No. So should be recording and present. Hey everybody, we are going to focus on chapter 7, which is on teams today.
I'm Tom.
I'm Nathan.
I'm Joe.
And I'm Carson.
So our learning objectives for today are going to be to distinguish between teams and groups, to explain how team processes affect team outcomes, to compare various types of teams and organizations today, how to apply the model of team effectiveness to evaluate team performance, and to identify the advantages and disadvantages of using team decision-making approaches. So to start off, we'll do a brainstorming activity. You can pause the presentation right now and just write down what you think makes a good team. This can be characteristics, people, just anything that comes to mind. And then what are some of the benefits of having teams in an organization? And once you're done, you can continue with the presentation. So our first learning objective is to distinguish between teams and groups. So the main difference is just how the members interact with each other. So teams are going to collaborate more, and then groups are going to work more individually. With teams, it's a decentralization of power, so the power is spread throughout the team more than a group is, and everyone takes their skills and works together, whereas, again, the groups take their individual skills, are assigned responsibilities based on their skills, and come together at the end. This can be seen in like a marketing group. Somebody could be good with social media, so they handle that aspect, and then somebody could be good with finances, so they would handle the budget, and then they come together at the end. For a basketball team, somebody could be good at offense, somebody could be good at defense, but they work together to eventually win a game. So effectiveness comes down to management, treatment, and interactions. The overseers have to keep the team on track and make any changes where necessary. And then the treatment organizations should nurture and help their teams grow, just so the teams feel supported and feel like they belong at the organization and that they're supported. And then the interactions between the team members, people need to trust each other, need to respect one another. This just flourishes the relationships and makes teamwork better. So the impact of psychological safety, first off, psychological safety is just how willing people are to take risks in the group. This was developed by Google, and they found that if people are willing to take risks, it leads to better performance and better communication, improved learning behaviors, knowledge sharing, and they learn from the mistakes they make because they are willing to make them. So to create this psychologically safe environment, you want to collaborate on conflict. So you don't want to be arguing each other. You want to work together to figure out a solution. You want to consider other members' needs. Everyone has a different background. You don't know what people have been through. This goes along with thinking before you speak. So just be aware of what you're saying. When there are any issues, you don't want to be blaming people. You want to take a curiosity route. So you want to investigate and determine what went wrong and how you can fix it, just so their relationships stay good. So to make a team effective, this is mainly for the management side. You want to nurture the relationships. This just builds trust and loyalty. You want to give honest feedback, both positive and negative, especially the negative. You want to do it in a nurturing way. You don't want to be putting people down. You want to make sure that the team understands the common goal so that they come together and realize they need to work together to help the organization. And then with the changing times, companies are moving towards team networks versus groups. So this is more for the older management. They have to realize that teams are more effective, and this is where businesses are going.
So now we're on 7.2, and this is the model of team effectiveness and how it affects processes and outcomes. So the first stage is called forming, and this is basically when your group first gets together and everyone's just kind of learning where they fit in the team structure. Here you discuss your opportunities and the challenges that you're going to be taking on ahead. And during this period, team members focus on just learning about each other and tend to avoid conflict, even if their ideas don't agree with one another, just because you don't want to ruin a brand new relationship. So the second stage is storming. This is after the initial meeting stage. The tensions may begin to rise as different personalities will begin to come out within the group and may clash. Team members often begin questioning their team leader and their leadership. In order to be successful, the team must manage these conflicts and get over them. If they don't, the team's just going to disband and you're going to have to start over at stage one with forming. By openly discussing and resolving the conflicts, team differences can be put aside and the team can become stronger and focus on the work ahead. There's three types of conflicts, major conflicts. The one being a task conflict, which is disagreements about content and outcomes of the task being performed. There's relationship conflict, which is disagreements about interpersonal issues such as personality or values and norms differences. And then the process conflict, which is disagreements about the logistics of the task accomplishment, such as delegation of tasks and responsibilities. So the stage after storming is norming. This is when team members finally resolve their conflict and begin working together again. Members will become more tolerant and learn how to work and socialize with each other and their different personalities. Relationships will build as members feel more comfortable asking for help and providing constructive feedback with one another. With the team becoming cohesive and reaching goals and achieving deadlines, that becomes a lot more realistic because there's not going to be as much fighting now that everyone's working with each other and providing feedback. And in this stage, it's very easy for teams to revert back to the storming stage with especially the constructive feedback. Some people aren't going to want to hear that their ideas are wrong, and that could just lead back into more arguments and fights within the group. So the next stage is performing. This is when the team is all working together as a cohesive unit and invested in their goal. There's high loyalty and trust among team members. Everyone trusts each other. Everyone's working together. Any conflicts that arise within the team can now just kind of be easily resolved and pushed aside. Members do work in harmony to achieve common goals that will ultimately lead them to their main goal. And there is still a slight possibility of reverting back to the storming stage in the performing stage, but it is a lot less likely. It's mostly going to happen if there's a change in leadership and the entire team dynamic changes. So the final stage is adjourning. The final stage is usually inevitable through all groups. And this is when team members finish and accomplish their goal, have a big celebration, and then usually team members have no reason to keep in touch with their team or keep in contact because their goal is complete. So they just kind of grow apart and leave each other. And some teams still have stayed together after they achieve their goal and go on to a different goal. But some of the members may not agree with that goal, so they leave the team and they must be replaced with another team member, which would start the entire cycle over again back to the forming stage. So punctuated equilibrium is a method of understanding organizational change by illustrating where change is relatively stable and where it becomes more volatile. Tuckman's model is the best model for this, and it's when teams come together, they tend to perform at a low level for a period of time that was less equal to half of the time until the deadline date. But then at some point when this team transitions upward to a higher level of performance, when they get into the performing stage, that's when all these tasks are really accomplished and the workload really increases and you work a lot faster. And it really illustrates that team development is not always a linear process and it can change throughout the whole process. So team norms and cohesion. Norms are the informational rules of behavior that governs the team. They present problems in a way that promotes mutual discussion and resolution. Practice and experience humility. If you commit to doing something, do it. And respect the time and convenience of others for norms. Cohesion is the degree to which the team members connect with each other. So team charters. A team charter is a document that outlines the whole purpose of the team, the benefits of the project, and the required objectives. Usually the team manager or leader will create the charter and everyone has their own little part in it, but everyone's little part will be together, work together, and achieve the main goal. So synergy. Synergy is the concept that the total amount of work produced by a team is greater than the amount of work produced by an individual. That you just need good synergy within groups. Process gains are factors that contribute to team effectiveness, and process losses are factors that detract from team effectiveness. Social loafing is a phenomenon where people put forth less effort when they work in teams and that the team members do more of the work. Cyber loafing is a phenomenon where people access the internet for personal use at work while they pretend to do work. This would just be playing games instead of working. Social facilitation is the tendency for individuals to perform tasks better when they're in the presence of others, like their boss or supervisor.
All right, so next we have comparing the various types of teams in organizations today. So in today's organizations, we have a variety of teams. We have virtual teams, self-managing teams, problem-solving teams, and cross-functional teams. To start off with virtual teams, we have a group of individuals who work together from different locations and tend to rely on communication technology such as email, text, things like Skype, video calls, and that's how they basically collaborate and get in touch and share information. Virtual teams provide greater flexibility in the work schedule since basically anyone who's part of the team, they can work from basically anywhere, even home, and it also saves on travel costs. With virtual teams, since the world now, the growth in telecommunication is beginning to increase and it's opened a door for virtual culture in today's organizations. As of 2018, 5 million Americans, or around 5 million Americans, are starting to work from home, and at least 50% of the time. And since 2005, people who work from home have also grown 173%. So, I mean, that also tells you that the telecommunication is increasing and people are starting to work from different places, even around the world. So virtual teams are on the rise. Next, we have self-managing teams. Self-managing teams, I mean, they're pretty self-explanatory. It's basically just a group of workers who manage their own daily duties under little to basically no supervision at all. They're expected to make decisions without even consulting any higher management to get any feedback from them of what they have to do. They basically just have a group of team members together collaborating amongst themselves to get tasks done, and these teams tend to help companies grow faster, be more productive and profitable, as well as keep a low turnover of employees. And self-managing teams are used in different working environments, but mainly things in like manufacturing and service departments, because those kind of environments, the workers basically already have the knowledge like inside their brains and stuff like that to be able to complete the task without even having to go up to higher management. And third team we have the problem-solving team. The problem-solving team is basically just a group of workers who only come together for a set amount of time to discuss and resolve specific issues. These types of teams incorporate staff from different organization levels with various skill sets, mainly because problem-solving teams are better when they're cognitively diverse. What do I mean by cognitively diverse? Basically, you want a team where each team member thinks and perceives situations differently, so you get a different opinion, different outlook from each member, giving you a better pathway to solving the problem. And lastly, we have cross-functional teams. Cross-functional teams are another group of workers from different units of the company who have various areas of expertise, and they're assembled to work on certain projects. These teams have been found to be effective in not only larger companies, but smaller ones as well. Um, and also with businesses becoming more complex nowadays, it's making it more like essential for organizations to be able to work together with different departments, different areas of the company, and be able to work together as a whole to come together and complete tasks and projects together.
Hello, everyone. If you're still watching, good job. Next, we have 7.4, applying the model of team effectiveness to evaluate team performance. And we'll start with how to be effective. Not all teams are effective. Effective team organizations are characterized by their ability to improve quality, whether that's their product, their production line, whatever can make them more efficient, reaching goals, setting goals, letting your team members know the goals. Everyone's able to come together and those goals are more attainable. And then another one would be adapt and change the process. We see this all over business where you either adapt or you die. So that slide. So team effective model is composed of two main topics, and that's contextual influences, which is team resources, task characteristics, organizational structures, and systems. And then the second one is composition factors. That's, team size, personality, diversity, all that stuff that comes together, and then balancing those two is what's going to lead us to the end of the model. And then I'll go part two after this slide. And part two, so after those two main topics, we have process, which would be team development, norms, and cohesion, like we talked about before, coming together, like everyone's, their beliefs or whatever, different viewpoints is good for everything. And then process gains and losses, that stuff financially, and, workforce, social facilitation, just how you interact in the workplace. Is it comfortable, that kind of stuff. And then it leads us to outcomes. So goods of service. So all this leads up to goods of service, team viability, member satisfaction. And this is what leads how team look at their organization, and they're able to see their efficiency and where there is a problem, if there is, and they're able to fix that right away because they know the problem because they followed the model. And then before that, oh yeah, this is good. All right. Benefits of evaluating team performance. There's a lot of benefits, but most of them would be improves goal attainment, which I talked about before, strengthens commitment to these common goals and priority as a whole, the whole team, everyone's on page. It also helps team members scrutinize objectives to identify misunderstandings or thinking gaps, where if someone's not on the same page, there's communication error, that kind of stuff. It eliminates that. Also encourages leveraging of team members' differences to accomplish goals. Pretty much self-explanatory. Also, it enriches relationships, improves team cohesion, like we talked about, enhances communication among team members, increases role clarity and utilization of team members' strengths. It reduces performance barriers and conflicts. And then the last, one of the main reasons that it benefits would be enhances team performance, which is what we're all trying to get at. Streamlines team processes, blah, blah, blah. And then another part I looked up would like a way to evaluate your team. And it says an effective team can help an organization team incredible results. A team that is not working can cause unnecessary disruption, like we talked about, failed delivery and strategic failure. Nowadays, it is almost impossible to avoid being a member of a team. If you're not on an official team of work, chances are your function within one with or another. So it's important for your personal and career development to know your team working strengths and weaknesses. So that's just like, just the main topic. All right, next. All right, this is my last slide. It's another module. So there's different modules, but this one was formed by Michael Lombardo and Robert. They crafted the T7 model in '95 with the aim of better understanding the factors that contributed to team effectiveness. After all, you can't fix a problem if you don't know the cause of the team dysfunction. So this just goes over, from the crust down to the core, the main, what makes a team function, and the effectiveness, applying it to a module so everyone's more efficient. That's it for me, I believe.
And lastly here, we have identify the advantages and disadvantages of different team decision-making approaches. So the types of team decision-making approaches are brainstorming, nominal group technique, the Delphi technique, and groupthink. So first off, we'll start with brainstorming. And just the bare definition, brainstorming generates creative, spontaneous ideas from all members of the group without any initial criticism or judgment. And in order for brainstorming to be effective, it needs to be done correctly, You can't just have a bunch of people throwing out random ideas and hoping that, one will stick. You got to first, there's a process, and you got to brainstorm alone at first. You kind of come up with some ideas, and then you discuss those ideas with a group of people. So there's the 6-3-5 technique, which you have like 6 people. They each write down 3 ideas, and then it gets passed around 5 times until the ideas keep getting built upon, and that's how that way of brainstorming you come up with a good idea. Next, we have the nominal group technique. So this is more of a structured way for team members to generate ideas and identify solutions. Basically, how this works is each member is asked the same question, and they're asked to write down the response, and all responses are read aloud, and then they're put up to a vote. So this would be good if you're having like a meeting with, say, roughly about 100 plus people, and you need to come up with a bunch of ideas. You don't want to just have 100 people screaming out their ideas. That's not going to work. You're going to have your people writing it down and then discussing it without, and come up with the best 3 or 4. The only issue with this would be that if you're in a larger group, sometimes people that are quieter might be more afraid or, timid to express what they're really feeling on a certain idea or something. Could just be one issue. Next, we have the Delphi technique. So this is a method of decision-making in which information is gathered from a group of respondents within their area of expertise. So like, for example, you could have a shoemaking company and they want to know, what they should be doing financially. They'll send out, what they want to be done financially to a group of experts. And then the group will talk about it continuously until they come upon a common answer. And this is good because you have people who are the best in their field discussing this. The only issue could be if you have 2 of those people and all of a sudden their ideas clash, you could take a while for them to resolve their conflict. So here are some advantages of team decision-making. It increases engagement from staff. If you're making decisions within your whole organization, you're going to have, your entire staff talking about it, not just the head or, a couple people. And then next, you're going to come up with mostly consensus decisions. So you're going to talk, you're going to come up with what you think is best for your company going forward, and then you're going to do that. And then it gives those involved a broader perspective, provides more alternatives, and clarifies ambiguities, and brings about team satisfaction and support. So there's nothing really better than having your team happy and all that. And then as Professor Tom Davenport said, collaborative decision-making is one of the ways that you build organizational judgment. So basically, if you have good decision-making within your organization is going to be able to make good decisions, obviously, going forward based upon what your employees and everyone else is thinking. And then lastly, we have a negative of group decision-making, which is groupthink, which is basically what it is you have a group of people who go along with what the team is doing rather than offering their opinion. And pretty much the reason why they're doing this is they're scared that they're gonna, disrupt the harmony within the group. They're gonna make, cause conflict. So that's good. You're gonna have a team that gets along with each other, but the only issue is you're not gonna have any of those outside the box or original ideas because no one's gonna challenge one another. And that should be, nope, sorry. There's disadvantages of group decision-making, basically, which is meetings can be time consuming. Time is money in this business day and age. And then too much attention can be paid to simple matters. You don't want to have, for instance, which water should we stock the office with? You don't want to be discussing that for, a couple days. That should be something, oh, well, here's the cheapest or here what we like and go from there. And then, nobody, if, for instance, if a decision goes bad, nobody's going to want to take responsibility for a bad decision. It'll just look bad on them. And then team members, they might come up with compromises that satisfies no one. And then you've been so desperate to come up with something that you'll just go along with it, even if it's not good for your organization or whatever.
So to end, we have some takeaways. So the first takeaway would be for teams to work together and they build relationships to meet a common goal. And then the various stages of team processes can speed up or slow down production, affecting final team outcome. Each team has a different role to play inside organizations, and following a model of effectiveness can allow a team to evaluate their performance. And the way that group decision-making processes are conducted can help with its effectiveness. Okay, and that's it.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Are we still? Yeah, we're still going.